Mrs. Mice. One day, as Mrs. Elino was waiting from the Parenton Street Library, does not be asked who lived in apartment 4A, opened her door and insisted that the young widow just join for her for a cup of catnip tea. The kettle is steaming. Miss Godfrey announced, and I just took a batch of tuna tots out of the oven. Mrs. Marlowe was glad for the opportunity to rest her tired paws, but she soon grew weary of her neighbor's endless stream of gossip and complaints. Just as she was about to excuse herself, Miss Godfrey narrowed her eyes and said, "You know, Eleanor, sometimes it feels like our relationship is a one-way street. I often invite you into my home, but I've never once set foot in your apartment. It almost feels like you're trying to hide something in there." Oh! "I'm so sorry. You must forgive me," exclaimed Mrs. Marlowe with a nervous switch of her tail. "It's just that I'm such a dreadful housekeeper. I'm not too embarrassed to invite anyone in." "I see." Mrs. Godfrey pressed her lips and stirred her tea. And Mrs. Marlowe returned to her apartment. She double-locked her door and breathed a sigh of relief. Dreadful housekeeper. Indeed, she thought to herself. Every inch of Eleanor Marlowe's home was fastidiously neat and clean. The floors were well swept and scrubbed. The glasses in her cupboard glistened like crystal. The recently shampooed rug in her parlor smelled of lavender, and every shelf and tabletop was adorned with vases of fragrant, freshly cut flowers. "I'm back," whispered Mrs. Marlowe from behind the stove. A tiny nose with whiskers appeared. "Is it safe to come out?" "Quite safe," mewed Mrs. Marlowe, and with that, an entire family of mice poured out of every nook and cranny in her apartment. "How was your day at the library?" asked Grandpa Paul. Rather busy. "Actually," replied Mrs. Marlowe, "my assistant was sick today." "So I had no one to help assist our patrons. Shove new books or read to the kittens. We were just as busy," replied Aunt Jetty. "We polished the silverware, transplanted all your basil seedlings, and made you a delicious pot of anchovy in the chief soup. I helped too," said Billy Joe, peering into Mrs. knitting bag. "Is my hat ready yet?" "As a matter of fact, it is," replied Mrs. Marlowe, and she handed the young nuts a fine nightcap. "I finished it on the way home as I rode on the trolley." Grandpa cleared his throat. Speaking of the trolley, "You didn't happen to?" Come now, Grandpa Paul," said Mrs. Marlowe. You're among friends. If you have something to say, just speak up. Just quick up." Well? Grandpa Paul finally asked the question he had been wondering about. The nun. You didn't happen to stop at Cat's Fish and Cheese Market on the way home, did you? Oh, my goodness! Cried Miss Marlowe. I almost forgot. Mrs. Marlowe took a large round of cheese from her shopping bag. I couldn't get them out. You answer. Requested. But I think you'll find this Swiss very much to your liking. We never heard of a Swiss. It's Grandpa Paul, Dewey, Bully Joe. Never. Quite a young mouse. And I like to stick my nose in the holes. You can't do that with me and Stir. Why the family of mice screwed up. His mother began sliding the cheese into tiny cubes. No need to push and shove. She gently reminded them. Just to go around. I've gained 2 ounces since we moved in, declared cousin Amanda. Me too, said Brother Abbott with a mischievous chuckle. If I didn't know better, I say Mrs. Marlowe is fattening us up for the kill. Oh! What a horrid thing to say, Albert, quick Auntie Jetty. You know perfectly. Mrs. Marlowe invited us to come live with her out of the kindness of her heart, and at great risk to her own affair. I might add that Grandpa Paul. And at that very moment, there was a loud pounding on Mrs. Marlowe's door. Open up! Bellowed a gruff voice at the police. Quick! Everyone hide! Whispered the young widow. Mrs. Marlowe's mice were a well-disciplined lot. She had trained and drilled them for hours on end. So, they knew exactly where to hide and how to stay quiet until she gave the all clear. Bam! 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 Open up now, or we'll knock down your door. A moment. Please? Miss Marlowe. Check to make sure everyone was well hidden. Then, straightening her dress, she took a deep breath and unbolted the lock. Manx. Set a sleek, grey Curtis he felt his sunny cousin's security badge, and this is my assistant, Sergeant Baxter. Mrs. Marlowe could not help but notice the strong smell of polish from the police cats, the boots, and the fact that one of the officers, or perhaps boss, so much colloquy. Is there a problem, officer? Asked the young widow with a courteous smile. There's been a complaint from one of your neighbors about the portly sergeant. We have reason to believe you are harboring mice. Me? A mousekeeper? Miss Marlowe chuckled. Why? That's ridiculous. Then you won't mind if we look around, will you? Snapped the tenant without waiting for a reply. Lieutenant Banks pushed open the door and began inspecting Mrs. Marlowe's kitchen. What a small pieces of catches for a cat. Don't you agree? Baxter, but not too small for a mouse, ventured the sergeant. Precisely, snapped the lieutenant. That's just like I've been telling you. Details! Baxter, it's all about details. Mrs. Marlowe walked calmly over to her cupboard and took down a tin of milk crackers. I was just making some horse dear words, she said as she neatly arranged the crackers and the cheese on a plate. Would you gentlemen care for one? Don't mind if I do, said Sergeant Baxter. This isn't a party. Baxter, hissed Lieutenant Banks. Put it down and take a look at this. Suddenly, the young widow had a tiny voice. Psst! Miss Marlowe, over here! Over here. Mrs. Marlowe looked down and to her horror saw Billy Joe hanging by his tail from the kitchen table. I got snagged when I jumped, cried the desperate little mouse. Sorry, Billy Joe, whispered Mrs. Marlowe, but I can help you now. What did you say? Demanded Banks. I was merely wondering if there was anything I could do to help, replied Mrs. Marlowe with a nervous smile. Perhaps you can help explain this, demanded the tenant as he withdrew a tiny unfinished sweater from Mrs. knitting basket. Wouldn't you say this is odd? Baxter, the sergeant, examined the sweater carefully. Got a stitch, he mused. Nothing odd about that. I believe my wife uses got a stitch all the time. You idiot! I'm not talking about knitting technique. Spat I'm alluding to the fact that this sweater is exactly the right size for a mouse. Yes! Oh, of course! Stammered the sergeant. I was just about to mention that detail, Mrs. Marlowe said, as if bored with the antics of small kittens. And this is exactly the right size for one of my niece's china dolls, she said, and returned the sweater to her knitting basket. The police cats continued their search, peering under furniture, turning over pillows, examining the insides of boxes and drawers, and sniffing everywhere. I can smell anything but flowers in here, remarked Sergeant Baxter. Yes! I do love flowers, Mrs. Marlowe piped with a great smile. Would you care to take a few gladiolus for your wife? Sergeant Baxter was about to accept the young widow's offer when he noticed the scowl on the lieutenant's face. No, thanks, he replied. My wife has too many flowers already? Heavens, cried Mrs. Marlowe. I can't imagine anyone having too many flowers. After a thorough search of Mrs. Marlowe's apartment, Banks finally gave up. no mice here. Baxter, he muttered and turned to leave by the kitchen door. Sorry to have bothered you. Ma'am, said Sergeant Baxter. Always glad to be of service to the Department of Kitchen Security. But Miss Mallow just then Billy Joe's tail let loose, and the three cats heard the unmistakable sound of tiny claws striking the tired kitchen floor. Aha! Lieutenant Lang spun around with the suddenness of a spam mouse trap. So you are hiding mice in here? You mean this? Titbit. This man not as he scooped up Billy Joe. This is my dinner! The adopted escaped from the pantry while I was busy chatting with you gentle cats. I'd invite you to share it with me. But this tiny water is only one. Enough for me. Only enough for one. But Mrs. Mother lifted Billy Joe into the air and dropped him into her mouth. Stop! What? Thanks. You're under arrest for harboring mice. The young widow chewed and swallowed. Delicious! You've just broken the law, declared Manx. That mouse was evidence. Mrs. Mallow daintily wiped her lips with the tip of her tail. Since when is eating a mouse against the law? Lieutenant, aren't you forgetting one important detail? Ventured Sergeant Baxter. A mousekeeper would never eat a mouse. Oh! Shut up! Baxter! Lieutenant Langs put the sergeant into the hole. Then he turned and glowered at Mrs. Mallow. We're finished here for now. But don't think we won't be keeping an eye on you. Mrs. Mallow listened at her door until she was certain the officers had really left the building. Only then did she breathe a final sigh of relief. All clear, she meowed. You can come out now. In a few seconds, the apartment was teeming with unhappy mice. We thought you were our friend. Squeaked Aunt Jetty. We trusted you. Mount Grandma nodded with a sniffle. Brother Clem took off his sweater and threw it to the floor. I'm never going to wear this again, he declared. My baby, mourned Joe's mother. That kid ate my poor little baby. Joe's father tried his best to console his wife. Now, dear, try to see the bright side. We still have each other, and I know that our son died for a good cause. But his words only made her burst into tears. Even Grandpapa was upset. I have to admit, Elena, he said, slowly and deliberately. After tonight, none of us are going to feel safe here. How do we know you? Aren't planning to eat us all, one by one. Mrs. Mallow just smiled. Then she opened her mouth, reached down under her tongue, and lifted Billy Joe into the air. He was soaking wet and shivering, but pretty unharmed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for shocking you like that. Apologize, Mrs. Was she returned the young man to his family. But it was the only way I could think of to get rid of those police cats. Are you alright? Billy Joe. Me? Sure. I'm fine. Why? I wasn't even scared. Not one. Of course we can. Not one, but Billy Joe. Can we have only cheese now? But, we said you chew and swallow. Great Grandpa Paul. The only thing I swallowed was Billy Joe's cap, explained Mrs. Marlowe. Don, I mean, like that hat. Down the mouse. Don't fret. Billy Joe, I net you and even find it soon as I can. Mrs. My school very apologetic. I can't believe we dobbed you. I can't believe we dobbed you. Confess, Grandpa Paul, sheepishly. That's quite understandable, replied Mrs. Marlowe. But believe me, I would never harm any of you. Never in a million years. After that, Mrs. Marlowe retired to the parlor and sat in her favorite chair. With all her minds gathered around, she put on her glasses and began to read aloud to them. While she read, Uncle Harvey scratched behind her ears, and Aunt Jessie and Brother Albert combed her tail. It was everyone's favorite way to end the day. But the harrowing events of the evening had taken her their toll. Miss Marlowe hadn't finished one chapter when she fell fast asleep with the book still in her paws. But it was just getting interesting. Come back, Billy Joe. Let's wake her up. Do! Let her sleep, whispered Grandpa Paul. If there's anyone who deserves a good rest, it's Mrs. Elena Marlowe. Moving quietly, as only mice can move when they truly want to be quiet, Miss Marlowe's mice. Then they removed the young widow's glasses. Then they returned the book to its place on the table and put her soft quilt up close around her chin so she would be warm and snug all night long.